Brought to you by Penguin.
Thomas More, A Life, by Joanne Paul. Read by Ben Miles. To the listener. This book details the life of one of the most divisive figures in English history. With very few conceivable exceptions, no other Englishman or Englishwoman is, centuries later, both worshipped as a saint and condemned as a vicious murderer. Thomas More was also a key player in perhaps the most dramatic and dramatized moments in English history. The divorce of King Henry VIII from Catherine of Aragon and his remarriage to Anne Boleyn. An opponent of the break with Rome and of Henry's henchman Thomas Cromwell, More has been portrayed both as a champion of religious loyalty and an enemy of progress. Additionally, amongst his impressive and lengthy oeuvre is arguably the most influential work of literature by an Englishman between Chaucer and Shakespeare, who admired him. His Utopia spawned a genre and inspired generations of revolutionaries, though it has also been condemned as a precursor of modern authoritarianism. And yet, among all this debate and dispute over More's legacy, one spectacular thing can truthfully be said. In the context of his own time and the years following his death, Thomas More did almost nothing to change the course of English history. When the axe fell on Sir Thomas More in July 1535, Henry VIII and Cromwell had done nothing more than remove a particularly irksome pebble from their shoe as they made their determined way down the path of the English Reformation. Had More survived, he could not have truly stood in their way. As it stood, he was relatively easy to dispense with. It required only a little legal finagling, and his prolific head was removed from his already ailing body. In contrast to Thomas Cromwell, with whom he is so often compared, little of immediate significance can be directly attributed to Thomas More. It is difficult to point to any event or moment in Tudor history and claim that it would have been vastly different without his intervention. This, however, is where his importance lies, and I believe it can be presented without finding ourselves ensnared in the centuries-long tangle of conflicting reputations over More's legacy. In a deeply dangerous time, Thomas More was one of the few who overtly opposed the growing tyranny of King Henry VIII, and he did so with full knowledge of his own powerlessness and the deadly consequences. His willingness to stand firm and speak truth to an overwhelming power is as relevant in today's world as it was to that of Henry VIII. Tyrants, it will not surprise you to learn, still exist. Those who are willing to destroy anyone who stands in opposition to their will, a will driven by self-interest, pride, and desperate paranoia, rule today as they did 500 years ago. In fact, this might be one of the most pertinent parallels between the Tudor world and the 21st century. The unconstrained power of petty, insecure men remains deeply dangerous. Those, like Thomas More, who stand up to these men and remind them of higher principles, deeper truths, greater duties, must be remembered for their efforts, even when they come to nothing. Their effort to change history and their failure is just as important as those whose participation in the tides of their time makes them great. They are the figures who inspire us. When a great booming voice from above tells us we must obey, must submit, and a voice deep within us responds, no matter how quietly, no. Whether you hold More to be a divinely inspired saint or a zealous prosecutor of the innocent, and I hope this book convinces you that both of these positions are reliant on some rather ahistorical mythologizing, we must not overlook him as a man who spoke truth to power, even while trembling with fear. Prologue. To have ever for mine eye my death. Whoever delights to behold these fashion...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?